What's up, everyone? With Dr. Stu in part of his facility.
Okay.
What other chiropractor you know has Arnold pictures on the wall? And The Rock. It's pretty. This is awesome. So this is doing a lot of things in here. You can see behind me. I'll give you a tour later. There's the coolest treadmill ever made. Now, what we talked about in this prior video was essentially how weight training becomes rehab.
Yeah.
And how prehab exists, where you basically rehab before the injury. So essentially, when someone comes in and says, okay, I have an acute injury, I have an injury.
Right.
What's the next step? Let's say someone watching this channel right here, you just pulled your hamstring, did something to your hamstring.
Sure.
He comes in and goes, Dr. Stu, I tore my hamstring. I pulled it. What do I do?
Sure. So the first, most important thing is make sure you get all the essentials out of the way too. You want to go through family history, make sure there's, past history or any existing injuries. You want to make sure that there's, all the potential big problems are out of the way, like no fractures, no complete tears of the tissue. So proper evaluation to kind of see what's going on, okay? And you kind of give everything a level, okay? Grade 1 being very minimal, all the way to, destruction of tissue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really severe, and that's when I really need to say, hey, you know what? We need a little bit more intervention here medically. I'll either refer you to, an orthopedic surgeon or get you into some surgery. But if something that we can actually start to rehab, like Marc was saying in the prior video, ice, it's good to a certain point, but the biggest thing is movement. Get movement in as soon as you can.
Blood flow, nutrient delivery, all that good stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you really look at the concept of ice, why was ice therapy actually brought in the beginning?
To bring down swelling.
To bring down swelling, but to increase circulation. Okay, so here's the concept of ice. Okay, so you put on ice therapy, it's going to reduce the amount of blood flow immediately so that there's less swelling flushing to that area. But after about 15-20 minutes, well, if you don't remove that cold compress or whatever it is, there's something that sets in. It's called Huntington's response, okay? So what happens is now your body floods the area with this extracellular fluid as an insulator to protect it. It's too cold,
Yeah.
So now you're putting on more inflammation. So you don't want that response. That's why 15 to 20 minutes is really kind of the absolute max. And as a healthcare provider, we're really kind of hitting that phase of numbness. Once you get that numbness sensation, it's time to stop that cold therapy. So what actually happens after that numbness phase? Now your body says, okay, it's cold, I need to warm it up. So what does it do? It really dilates or opens up those blood vessels and brings that circulation in. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
I need to bring oxygen-rich, nutrient-rich blood to those damaged tissues so they can start to heal a lot faster. Okay. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We need to get circulation in there. We need to get proper movement.
So rice, where elevation's included to prevent blood flow to the area. Is that antiquated?
In the beginning, I recommend it just so we keep
what's the beginning? 24 hours, 36 hours? How long is the beginning?
You're looking at probably at that 24 to 72 hour period.
Okay.
So that's kind of like what we call define the acute phase. Some people might even say 24 to 36 hours. Okay. So, but as soon as you can get that part moving, barring any other severe injuries, that's what you want to do. Okay. And remember we talked about perfected movements? Yeah. So what is the most common thing if somebody rolls an ankle? They start to limp around, right? So, well, again, you're practicing poor movements. So what else are you setting off when you start limping? Potential knee problems, hip problems.
Compensation.
And you're ingraining that in your body.
Yeah.
So even if you have to walk around with an assistance like a cane or crutches, but it allows you to walk with better mechanics, I recommend that. As long as you're moving, you're going to speed along your rehab and your healing phase a lot faster.
Get it moving.
Exactly, but moving properly and more efficiently. So that's kind of like why this is all set up here. So it's movement-based exercises and areas that we can focus on to get the body efficient.
That's awesome. So as far as prehab, what would that's happened before the injury?
Yes.
How does that work?
So again, if your body is more efficient, it's going to know what to do in extenuating circumstances. So if you learn how to move in various positions, challenge your body and make the joint aware of its full capabilities and strengthen it within its full capability, the less incident of injury, typically, okay? And you start to strengthen the joints and the soft tissue and all the supporting structures in all those various ranges. Okay, so that's essentially what some of a lot of these joint movements and trainings are designed for prehabilitation. And then, again, obviously starting with the initial foundation of good, pure movements. Yeah.
Well, so essentially, what you're doing is you're teaching your body, in case something happens,
yes,
it can come back quickly.
Yes, exactly. How does
proper movement training?
How does it respond and how does it react quickly to prevent the really bad situation from happening? Sometimes you still can't prevent it from happening. But if you provide yourself with the best assurance or insurance from letting it happen, why not invest in that?
Exactly. So let's bring it back just to finish this. Let's say as a bodybuilder, let's say these guys out here are training, or whatever kind of training, powerlifter, bodybuilder, somebody's trying to look good. What would be just a good take-home, quick message for prehab for those guys? Proper warm-up, cardio, this, that. What would be your take-home for someone like me?
Yeah, absolutely. So proper warm-up. So not kind of opposed from the traditional, hey, I'm just going to kind of stretch and stuff like that, but doing specific joint drills, joint movement drills, to get you prepared for what you're lifting, the actual performance, your lift. Okay, so if you actually start prepping your joints properly, that's going to enhance your lift for that moment, and then for the long term.
For example, for squats, what would be a proper one proper joint movement?
So something we can get into later is something like what we call an ankle tilt. Okay, and there's a medial and a lateral. Medial meaning to the inside of the midline of the body, and lateral to the outside or away from the midline of the body. Okay, so that enhances the joint mobility of your ankle joint. And when you're doing a squat, what's in contact with the floor? Your forefoot, your toes, and your ankle.
And that's your base.
Exactly.
It all comes down to the floor.
Yeah, and so some of these assessments, these functional movements assessments and screens that we do, they basically evaluate, okay, what is your range of motion, your functional range of motion there? So if you have poor ankle range of motion and stability, well, where else are you compensating in that squat movement, right? So making sure that movement's working well is going to set the stage for the actual performance of that drill or that lift.
Well, we have a lot of videos to do, but I mean, we need to schedule, take a 2-week vacation. We can expense it. But anyway, up top you see annotated the video on who the heck this guy is. Put all his information below. Again, we're located in Elgin, Illinois. Beautiful Elgin, negative 17 degrees this morning. Beautiful Elgin, Illinois. And once again, thank you for helping. And as these go on, you're going to learn. You can't just do one, 4-hour video, because you could. We over talked at the beginning, because this is something that interests me as someone who, well, for example, my stomach fell apart. So who am I going to come to after it's healed? Dr. Stu. Because I plan on, and this is not just for athletes, this is for you weekend warriors too. And again, like we were talking about earlier, people go, oh, I heard this, so I'm just not doing something. Well, you got to stay in shape. Your quality of life, when you're in shape, when you're moving, when you're active, is going to be so much better than that guy who can't get up. I was shoveling my driveway. I had a 5-foot snow drift on my driveway. And I was thinking to myself, how does the average person do? They must be dying. When I'm just flinging snow. So that's the quality of life. And again, it's compensating for the fact most of us sit on our ass all day in an office in a chair, and we have to get up and move and make sure that we don't there's so many issues. Lower back. What's lower back? You must know the statistics for lower back issues in this country. They're enormous. So this is what we're doing. We're prehabbing, making sure we're okay. It's not just for elite athletes, even though that's a lot of what you do, but it's for everybody, like me, like you.
And you actually brought up a key point, low back problems are actually the #1 debilitating condition in the United States. And like what you said, it's not just for elite athletes, it's for everybody, even weekend warriors. And that's why the principle of what I am studying along, we basically treat every person as an athlete. You know, you're just at different levels.
Yeah.
Are you trying to complete a daily chore, or are you actually trying to catch a game in the Super Bowl? You know, catch a ball in the Super Bowl. You know?
There's different levels of athleticism.
Right, exactly. But everybody essentially is an athlete because you move. You know, you're a human being.
That I've never heard it put that way. Well, thank you. And again, this is going to be an ongoing series on this channel. And again, look below for Stu's information. And even if you're not in the area, if you're within a drive, 12-hour drive, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Thanks again, brother.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep.